So, the big change today, limiting rent increases to once every 12 months. What impact do you think that's going to have on the market?
Mm. So I think affordability is definitely an issue that we're seeing across tenancies. So it's definitely a problem that needs to be addressed. However, I think the changes that have been proposed are at the detriment to our investors, which are already in dwindling numbers. We haven't seen the return to the investment market post-pandemic. So I don't think it's a great thing to attract investors to Queensland, but it is certainly going to solve a short-term problem in making housing more affordable and not being able to increase the rent as much as we might have seen over the last 12 months.
And it's really walking a tightrope, isn't it, with these things where you talk about helping with rental affordability, but also not discouraging investment. It's a pretty hard line to toe.
Very much so. And we've seen capital appreciation skyrocket over the last 12 to 18 months. So the value of homes and units are worth so much more. And because of fixed term agreements that were in places with tenants, there's been a lag between the property price increasing and then the rent lagging behind. So that's why we've had to adjust rents in line with the capital growth that properties have seen across South East Queensland.
How difficult is it to encourage an investor to, operate a rental property at the moment?
Look, it was difficult to begin with because we've just pushed through the latest legislation changes, making more owners to have a say in their own investment property with regards to pets, with regards to ending tenancies, all of that sort of stuff. And now this is just sort of another blow to the poor old investor. Investors aren't multimillionaire oligarchs. They are mum and dads who are just trying to set up for their retirement. So, but the media never really captures that quite as well.
Yeah, well, we spoke to the REIQ earlier and they say while it's not going to solve the rental crisis, this may weed out landlords doing the wrong thing. But it seems to be a bit of a fallacy, if you ask me, that it's landlords doing the wrong thing that's increasing these rents.
That's right, exactly. If you've got owners who are increasing ridiculous amounts, they're doing the wrong thing to begin with, because a good tenant is worth their weight in gold. And I know for 99.9% of our clients, they want to look after their tenants. They appreciate the role that a tenant has in their property. And without that tenant, no one pays the bills, no one pays the mortgage and the rates and all that sort of stuff that never stops. So, the REIQ are very right in what they're saying about weeding out those people who are just signing short-term leases and hiking the rent between just to get absolutely every cent out of the tenant. But 99.9% of our clients, at least, are doing that to begin with.
And, mate, how do you see these changes having an effect specifically here in Toowoomba? I know we've got a pretty difficult problem on our hands.
Yeah, so over the last 12 months, we've seen the number of properties available in the market under $400 per week halve. So it used to be 60% of properties in Toowoomba were under $400 per week. Now it's just over 30% of properties are under $400 per week. And, whenever the government comes out and touches rental affordability, it's just going to make it more difficult in an already difficult market. We're sitting at a 0.5% vacancy rate in the Toowoomba region, which is incredibly low. And affordability is a real issue. We do understand that. But there's also ways around that that we've been implementing with our clients. And that might mean if it's, a young couple going out into their first rental property, mum and dad goes guarantor on that with them, just to aid their affordability. There's plenty of solutions out there, and whether this is the right one or not, I guess time will tell.
Are you seeing tenants get priced out?
Absolutely, yeah. I've had probably a dozen over the last fortnight or 3 weeks when we offer them their lease renewal at a higher rate. They call us and they're just bawling their eyes out. They actually cannot afford the price increase without having to, bring a roommate into your family home. It doesn't make much sense to aid with their affordability. So there's definitely a lot of movement in the market. We're seeing more people leave at the end of their lease because they cannot afford the new rate. But we've also got so many people that are still without homes trying to find something, and they're just happy to pay whatever they need to get into a property.
And look, there's been some announcements for the supply side as well, most notably, as far as I can tell, a few land tax concessions. How badly is that needed?
That's a really interesting one. I think the Queensland land tax system is already just a massive revenue maker. So any little attraction piece that the government can introduce to reintroduce housing supply into the market is going to be great for the market, but I don't think it's quite enough to get the supply back that we need. And when they introduce a measure like that, it's great, but it really has a 12 to 18 month lag on actually hitting the market and those houses coming into play and actually helping the problem.
Yeah, so it doesn't do much in the short term, does it?
No, and that's when it's really needed.
Beauty. Is there anything else you wanted to mention or cover off on this, mate? Something you think it's important?
Mate, I think that's pretty much everything. The REIQ will probably comment on it much better than I will. But
no, it's always better to have a local voice, I reckon. The REIQ will still run, but...
so REIQ are excellent in their advocacy for real estate agents and for the wider market that we represent. So, they do a great job, and I think they'll have everything covered that I might have missed.
Awesome. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate your time this Arvo.
No worries. Thank you.
That's brilliant. I'm sure we'll talk again if you're happy.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jacob.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.